channel. Today we are going to continue with our series of unfortunate jobs. And before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and go check out down below. I have my Hey Hero account where you can ask me questions, and I also have an awesome Patreon. I post 3 times a week in my Patreon. I have beautiful pictures in there, so if you're into that kind of like fine art and photography and things like that, definitely go check it out. And we will get started. So today I'll do a little backstory because I'm sure some people are probably clicking on this video even though this is part 5 of my series of unfortunate jobs. So we're going to pick up where I left off with part 4, and that is where I was fired from my 3rd job that I had gotten here in Washington State after only being here 1 year. So, and I moved here because I was having really bad luck and a terrible time finding any good work down in Mississippi for my entire life. And keep in mind all of these things, like I did what society said you should do. For my generation, the millennials, I went to college. I got a very difficult degree, biochemistry. It's not easy. And I also kept growing my skills. I hustled. I started a business. I had a boutique. So I was doing all of the things that society was saying that I should be doing, you know, get a degree, work like a dog, you know, 24/7, create a business, work on the side, build your skills, make yourself more marketable, make yourself better and better and better. So I was doing all those things. Show up to work on time, don't ask off, don't go on vacation, don't get sick, did all of it. Still did not help me to get ahead or even land a decent living wage job that was what I needed and what fit me and my skills. So after moving out to Washington, I still had a lot of trouble. I had a lot of misogyny that I was encountering. I started working in the construction industry as someone who does like house call kind of thing. Like you go out and you, they provide leads for you and they kind of schedule it, and you just go out, you talk with the homeowners, you evaluate the space, you draw it out, you create bids and things like that, you price things out. So I started getting in that industry and I absolutely loved it. I love construction. It was so much fun. But the huge issue I was running into in the construction world is being one of the only females and encountering a lot of males that were very aggressive, that had a kind of an ego problem, or I don't know, something going on with them. So it just was not a good experience for me. And this next story is like, it was my total breaking point. Like meeting this person in this space was absolutely awful. It was awful. So after I was fired from my previous construction job, I'd been doing project management and sales and things like that, and I actually was doing really well at it. My coworker, who at the time has left that company, but me and him are still friends, he said that that guy, the owner who'd fired me, was always like, he wanted to find something on me to justify him like firing me, or him in his mind. He wanted to see that I was a bad worker, that I wasn't doing well, that I wasn't showing progress. And so he had him like run in all these numbers and evaluations on like my accounts and sales and things like that. And I just showed progressively like I just did really well. And so he couldn't really say anything. And that's because most everything when I try something, I go all in 100%. I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want someone to point their fingers at me and tell me I'm doing a bad job. That is so ingrained into every cell in my body. So anytime I start a job, I go 200% into that job. And I was even managing his, you know, social media accounts. I was posting to them, even though they didn't make me commission. Like, I just knew that we needed to get more business. I just wanted to try to get out there. Like, I always approach these small businesses, I always look at it as like, I'm the CEO. Like, what can I do to make this company successful? What kind of innovative things can I put into place? What can I start doing? Like, that I just have this entrepreneurial mind. And so, but it's just not received very well. So, all of that happens, you know, and now I've been out of work for a few months and I keep applying to jobs. I'm not seeing much. There's a guy, I have an interview with them, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and I just know that it's not going to be a good fit for me because they seem like they're going to be the same. They're going to be very shady. And so I just was waiting. I wanted to actually start working for a larger corporation, not someone who's like a small mom and pop type of business. I wanted to work for someone that maybe had more processes in place so that they're not just going to fire me because I'm asking them, hey, where's my paycheck? You know, like I need a little more, maybe some health insurance or, you know, something like that, like maybe some benefits. So I was applying to jobs like that for project management, for sales, for bidding, and mostly construction related, and wasn't getting very much luck with it. And I went to a mixer for one of the tile companies here. I think like Dow Tile or something like that, down in Kent. So I went down there to one of those, and I'm very uncomfortable. I don't like large crowds of people. I'm a very highly anxious person, especially when I have to go out and interact with people in big groups, people I don't know. I don't like that. I'm not really like a people person, but because I'm such a people pleaser, I come off as like a really good people person, but I'm not. So I went to that, and I just walked around. I talked to a few people, but it was very uncomfortable. I didn't know anyone there. And they had really good food though. There was like a falafel thing or something, a little truck or something like that. It was fun, you know. I had been out of a job for like 3 months, so, and I had started an LLC company under construction for me to try to do maybe consulting or something like that. Whatever came up, I'm open to trying new things. I'm not afraid to try things that are different. I'm not afraid to not be good at something and then teach myself and be good at it. Like, I'm not afraid of these things that most people are afraid of, and they grow stagnant. I'm not afraid of change, especially when it comes to the workforce and like what I'm doing. I'm open to any and everything that I am going to potentially love, and it's going to bring me a good income. But I met this person there. So it was this really tall, like really tall. I'm really short. I'm only 5'0". This really tall person. He had a ponytail and beard and everything like that. He was very soft-spoken. As we know, soft-spoken people, you need to watch out for them. So he talked to me. He seemed really jolly, and he seemed nice from our first encounter. And he seemed totally enamored by me. Like, I could tell that he really just wanted me to come work for him. So I hadn't had a job in a few months, and I'm like, okay, like, I'll give this a try. But I did not want to be a W-2 employee. I wanted to keep myself as like a business owner. I didn't want to go and work for another company and put myself back under the thumb of someone, especially after my terrible, horrible experiences that I had been experiencing in the construction realm and in the job industry altogether. So this person said he was going to supply me with leads and jobs and things like that, and I could do it as a 1099, you know, something like that. But the problem was that the first month he only was going to pay me $1,000 for the first month. But I thought, okay, that's cool, because I'm a 1099. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go to the place. I can work from home. This will work. This will be cool. You know, this is fine. Like, I won't be wasting my gas, my time. I can still work on my stuff, my leads. My time will be mine because I'm a 1099. I'm a contractor, and I'm not making an hourly wage. It's, you know, terrible. It's only $1,000 for a month's worth of work. Well, reality of what actually happened was he wanted me to come into the office, which was, with traffic here in Washington, sometimes 2-hour drive one way. And he wanted me to drive in, and his excuse was he wanted to be training me. He didn't want me to go and start approaching accounts and trying to drum up business with corporations and other types of people. He wanted to train me in how I needed to do these things, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to learn something. And so I was open to it. I was not happy to go down there and really have not much to do, you know, like waste my time and gas money when I'm only making $1,000 for the month. But he had me drive down there every single day. And that is where the issues started. So the issue started when he started dictating my hours. He wanted me to show up at a specific time, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. He said, okay, you tell me, you want to be here 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I'm a 1099. Why am I even gonna have to report to you and get there at a specific time? You're not even paying me an hourly wage. What are we talking about here? But of course, because of my past experiences, if I stand up for myself, if I say anything, then I'm gonna get fired, and I'd just been fired. I needed a job. I needed to build these skills. I was open to that, so I tried to work with him. I was like, okay, I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm going to work with this dude. I'm going to just try to make this work, okay? So I drive 2 hours twice a day in horrible traffic and go sit in the showroom, and it's freezing cold in the showroom. Like, it's so cold, and it's October. And the other coworkers that are there, they're all like normal. I don't even know how their pay structure is. I know that they're sales. I don't know if they're all commission or something like that. I don't even know. I just know that the people working there, they don't seem very happy. And that's a huge concern for me. And I also started noticing a lot of things. So one thing is, I would drive down there and I would usually stop at Starbucks and get me a coffee or something like that, because I never took lunch breaks. And so I was stopping off to get coffee. He calls me because it's like 3 minutes past the time that he says I need to show up. Like, I'm a 1099 worker. So he calls me, where are you? And I'm like, I'm getting coffee, dude. I'm like literally 1 block away. But as a 1099, it is illegal. Okay, keep this in mind if you're a business owner. You cannot dictate someone's hours if they are a 1099 employee. It is illegal. How did this person become a manager if they don't know the law and how to properly do business? So I found out that he was a recent manager. He'd been a salesperson literally like a week before. It's like, okay. And I also started noticing that instead of being a good manager and passing leads on to his sales team, he was keeping all these leads and these jobs that he was off working. I'm like, there's something seriously wrong with this setup. This is very unfair. Why are you putting someone in a position of power and authority and making them a manager while simultaneously also making them a salesperson, and they're running sales calls and pricing out sales while their sales team has no sales? I do not like that kind of thing, you know? That does not fly with me. And so I was not there very long. He met with me. We never even got to the point where he was teaching me how to go and talk to people out in the field and drum up the business like I had done with the previous person. He was supposed to teach me this method, like how to approach and what to say, like all of this stuff. Like, he was supposed to be doing that, and we never got to that point. He just talked to me about remodels and things like that, had me work on some things. He gave me the shittiest leads I've ever laid my eyes on, literally. He gave me remnant sales, which is like someone calls and they're like, hey, I need the cheapest thing that you got. I need something that costs $100. Can you come out and install it for $250? Like, that's the kind of stuff he gave me. Those are the kind of leads he was passing off to me. Like, bogus leads. And literally zero sold. Zero. Because these people are looking for something specific, like a color, but they only want a certain size, and they don't want to buy the full slab thing. They just want this tiny little remnant for maybe a little sink, like a half bath, something like that. So I worked there for an entire month, only made $1,000. He was dictating my hours, and I was a 1099 employee, and I had to drive 4 hours a day to get there, wasting my gas, my time. He wanted me to get there at specific times. He also wanted me to stay. He was always coercing me and like chastising me and incentivizing, you know, like saying stuff like, oh, like you need to be working till this time. So I would try to stay there to appease him because I didn't want to get fired. Like, I don't really, this is a 1099 position, but you know, I don't really know how this works. It was my first time with an LLC, like set up in this way and working as a 1099. But really, dude, like I have to work 10 hours a day 5 days a week and drive 4 hours a day for $1,000 a month here in the USA? And these leads that you're supposed to be giving me are complete bogus? Like, he gave me nothing. He kept all the good leads for himself. And I told my coworkers, I'm like, do y'all not see an issue with this? They didn't care. They were like, whatever, who cares? Like, I'm like, do you not see how he's double dipping? He's supposed to be the manager, but he's off running leads and making sales and doing projects. And we all have nothing. So I was completely fed up with that. And he also called me, keep it simple, stupid. Have you never heard that phrase? Like, anytime I'd ask him questions, he thought my questions were stupid. He thought all of these things. He would say stuff like in his little like soft voice. He was so aggravating and so condescending. And I could not work with him. Like, he was huge. I did not like the way he came off. Like, I didn't necessarily feel quite safe in that environment because he came at me at one point demanding to know after I'd been there 3 weeks. And this was after me and him kind of started going back and forth because he was being so condescending when he was supposed to be teaching me stuff. And I would ask questions and do this, and he always was all snarky and was always just like saying something back to me and like being very rude and mean. And I'm just trying to learn, dude. Like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to make money. Like, where are the leads you said you were going to give me? And I'd answer the phone. The only jobs that I actually was able to sell there, because I could never go out and drum up my own business. I never got to that point. Only thing was the phone would ring and I would answer it. And sometimes, so I made a few sales. It was like $10,000 worth of sales from phone calls. Not from any leads he had given me, not from, because he was keeping this for himself. And he even got mad about the phone and was like, if you answer the phone, you can't keep that lead. You're supposed to rotate it. You're not giving me anything. What do you want from me? You giving me $1,000 for the month? Like, how am I supposed to eat and make money? So after he said all that, and I'm just like, okay, cool, dude. Yeah, all right, got it, you know. Then he comes at me after 3 weeks and is like, I was expecting you to sell $40,000. Why have you not sold $40,000 in 3 weeks? Really? I'm like, do you want to break the numbers down? Like, let's go over this. Let's look at this from a logical standpoint. I am a numbers person. I am a truth person. If you want to come at me about this, let's go. Let's do it. So after he said that, I went through, and actually I think I actually had already gone through it because I could tell that he was going to be coming at me with that angle. And so I had already added up how much all of the jobs, the little remnants, they weren't even really jobs. Like, come on, who are you kidding? I already added up all of those he'd given me. And he's like, why didn't you sell them? They're remnants. What's the percentage? Tell me your close rate percentage on remnants. Like, let's start with some real truths and numbers here, okay? I've been here 3 weeks. You gave me 5 remnant potential sales. Nobody wanted to go with it. We didn't have the colors, we didn't have the sizes, you didn't hear back from them. They're just, thinking about this. They go with someone else. Like, come on, dude. And it was like $100. How did this ever equal $40,000? No matter how you look at it, it didn't even equal 10,000. I'm like, dude, so how, with what you gave me, how was I supposed to turn this into $40,000 when you didn't even give me $5,000 worth of potential leads and you're not going to sell all of them? Okay, let's keep all these things in mind. If he was a true and actual manager, he would already know all of this. He would already know the data, the statistics, and all of that kind of stuff. But no, he didn't know any of that. And he didn't listen to truth and reason because I showed him, okay, this is what we got. This is how. So make this make sense to me. How did you expect this to turn into this that you wanted? Because I wasn't allowed to go out and drum up my own sales because we hadn't gotten to that training you're supposed to be giving me yet. So I went and talked to the actual owner of the business and was like, look, this person, like, I do not feel comfortable working with them. They're rude, they're aggressive, they're mean. They don't know how to work. They don't even know how logistics and things actually work. Like, why is this person in management, first of all? And why are they being allowed to do these types of things? Why are they being allowed to siphon off jobs, not give any decent jobs to us salespeople underneath them, and all of this kind of stuff? Like, it's ridiculous. And so the owner was like, and I'm like, I do not feel safe and comfortable working with this person. He's so aggressive. And the owner was like, okay, like, let me figure it out. And I could tell that he loved to see the discord. Like, he was amused by how I had to stand up for myself in that way, and like how I viewed that situation, and how I had to speak to him about these issues, despite, I mean, I did not want to, because I was so scared and so freaked out and traumatized from the past and what I have experienced with how this usually goes down. If I rock the boat in any shape, form, fashion, then I get fired. So this was like, but I had reached the breaking point. I'm like, literally, what do I have to lose? I'm being paid $1,000 for a month worth of work for 50 hours of work a week. Why? You know, like, no, we're gonna talk about this. And so the owner ended up moving me to his sister company, another construction company that he had just started, and it was in Bellevue, and they had a very prestigious and nice showroom that they had literally just opened. And there were a few reasons why he was doing this. Was, you know, of course, everything going down with the manager and me, and I just cannot work with someone who treats people like that and acts like that. No, I'm not going to be coerced and, you know, like, no, pressured into doing these things when I'm a 1099. No, that doesn't work for me. And I'm drinking a hazelnut coffee that I got from the clubhouse. First time that I got this coffee in like 2 years. I don't think I've visited the clubhouse, and I worked out this morning. But yeah, let's go back to the story. So he was going to move me, and I had worked a home show, which is like where you go to this big like arena and everyone sets up whatever it is that they do, and they hand out flyers and they try to get leads. So I had worked that for free, of course, because I was not being paid hourly. And I had worked at that, the show, the booth and stuff like that. And I had met the person that the salesperson that they had for his sister company. And that person was very impressed with like how I interacted with people and my knowledge and just my personality and things like that. And so he really, really wanted to get me to work with him and at their showroom, the sister business. And so that was part of, he was going to that guy and was telling him like, I want her to come and move over here. And so the owner was like, okay, cool. So I did get moved. Now there were some things. This company is very shady, okay? I did not know this, but now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, this is why I cannot work in the construction industry. I just can't do it anymore. Like, I want to enter it as a business owner. I want to start my own general contracting business, but I cannot go and work for another company that is in that world, in that realm. Nope, 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 nope. So the guy that was wanting me to get moved over to their showroom, that salesperson, he told me, he's like, I got you. Like, you're going to be taken care of because I have skills, I have experience, I'm good at my job, all these things. He's like, you're going to be taken care of. Like, don't worry. When I talked to the owner, he told me that he was going to pay me $15 an hour, which is minimum wage here. And I was like, this is saying you got me? Like, this is, but who am I to say anything? I haven't had a job in months. I keep getting fired from these illegal places. And I literally just worked an entire month. I worked 200 hours and drove 4 hours a day for $1,000. So I was like, okay, like, this is better than that, you know? Like, all right, like, I got to start somewhere, I guess. Built from the ground up. And so I took that because he said I would get paid per lead, like, that I set, because I wasn't necessarily a salesperson in this role. I was more of a kind of like administrative type person. So I would schedule things, I would talk to clients, I would explain stuff to them, and I handled the salesperson's schedule and leads and things like that that came to the door. If they actually sold, I was going to make money per sold lead. The problem was this showroom was completely dead. They literally had no sales pretty much the entire time I worked there. I think we may have had one sell the whole time. And I worked there for quite a while. It wasn't like I worked there for just a couple of months. I worked there through the holidays. I worked there up to the pandemic. And they just didn't have work for me, so they laid me off. And that was when the pandemic first hit. They were like, okay, we're laying you off. And I never heard back from them again. So it's like, it was crazy though, because it was like 15 an hour. Like, this is not, I didn't learn all this experience. I didn't have years of construction experience and these sales numbers just to go and start making $15 an hour. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? But because we're so slow, I was thinking, okay, maybe I can work on my own leads. Like, maybe I can try to drum up my own business, although I couldn't lead the company or like try to drum up business in that form or fashion. And also I was talking with my coworker who had brought me on there, and he was really cool. He was a really cool dude. I really loved his personality. He had such a fun, unique, quirky personality, just like myself. So I absolutely loved working with him. And there were some issues with the way that it was set up. The company is that I never really was able to take lunch breaks or breaks and things like that. And so, I mean, even if I like ate something there, if someone walked in the door, I still had to like stop and like go and attend to that person. So that was a few things, but of course, like, we know I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm not going to be demanding, hey, where's my breaks? Where are my lunches? Although here in Washington, it is illegal to not give people breaks and lunches and things like that. It's very heavily enforced, like especially the breaks and things like that. But I think in their mind, because they were so slow, they figured because you're just sitting there waiting for someone to come in the door, it's like the whole day's a break, you know? Like, that's, I think that was their reasoning in their minds. And so, although technically it's not, you can't do that. Not here in Washington, at least. I know some states probably, you know, maybe that'll work. So I was there and I taught myself how to use Chief Architect, which is a software where you build up different things. Like if someone comes in and they want to do a kitchen or something like that. So I taught myself how to use that software, and the people, my coworker was really wanting them to pay for me to have a license for that, so I could start being a salesperson as well, and I could learn these things. And so I only had a month to teach myself because I did the free trial. So after a month, I didn't have access to it anymore. And then we were going to do a home show, so we all could brainstorm, and we came up with all these cool creative ideas on like how to build the booth and things like that, so we could try to maybe get more leads and more customers and things like that, because they were really marketing themselves as like an uber super expensive luxurious construction contractor type company. And they're in Bellevue, which is a very wealthy area. So a lot of people that came through, like my coworker, he had leads that he would go on and things like that. People who would come in and they wanted this and that, and I would kind of discuss with them pay and like how much things were going to cost and things like that, and just try to set the expectation. And he would do the same thing, and that's why nothing really was selling, because it just was too much. It was a lot of money. And when you're starting a new construction company, people don't necessarily trust it because you have absolutely no reviews, you have nothing. And so what they ended up doing was they ended up paying for fake reviews, which is illegal. Like, what are we doing? You're not supposed to pay for fake reviews. They paid for fake reviews. They were saying that their marketing and their like all this stuff and how to get leads, it was being sourced like through a foreign country, you know, something like that. Like they're all like, oh, it's taken care of, like we got it in another country, like they're doing all this stuff. But we still saw nothing. Like I wasn't seeing any leads. I wasn't seeing, the marketing wasn't working, it wasn't helping. And so I talked to one of the part owners, and I was like, hey, like let me help with the social media, because I love marketing and I knew what to show so that it can get people's attention. So I started posting to the social media daily, and I used an app and a software to post, and I found these things. They weren't ours, like they were like, I had to credit other people and things like that. I found stuff on Pinterest and stuff like that because we'd not done any jobs. And so I was just posting these types of content that were really cool and really luxurious and nice. And after 1 month of me doing that, we actually had a lead from it. There was a lady, and she reached out and was like, hey, like I wanted, like I saw the Instagram, like I want to, you know, schedule an appointment. Which was so awesome that literally after 1 month of trying this, because I love implementing and trying new things. I'm open to it. And I started to see positive results. But that was like January, I think. And that's also when I met with the owner again, because he told me he would start me out at 15 an hour, but he was like, hey, if you're doing well and all this kind of stuff, like maybe I could up it. So I met with him again because I was very unhappy about the pay. Like, I'm not happy with this pay. I have a biochemistry degree. I have years of extensive experience and so many different things and skills. Like, why am I making minimum wage? No way. So I met with him and I negotiated, and he was very, like, he didn't want to, but I negotiated a pay raise for myself to 18 an hour. And I was like, cool, like, you know, with maybe, hopefully, we can start getting some sales. Maybe I can start getting some sales, you know, like, or leads, whatever. They can maybe finally start selling. And I can finally maybe start making at least close to a living wage for here in Seattle. But that was not the case. So literally, after talking to him and negotiating, and I even talked to my coworker, and he found out how much I was making, and he was livid. He was like, what? He was like, I told them to start you out at like $21 an hour. Like, they were only paying you 15? And I'm like, yes, dude. Like, this is why I've been so annoyed, because how am I supposed to live? Really? Like, you pay someone who has no experience $15 an hour. You pay someone who literally, like, I am doing something that's highly skilled, and I have all this experience, and you're not even going to even acknowledge it or pay me. And so he was pretty upset, and he could not believe it, because he told me that he was going to take care of me. So he felt really bad, but he told me he was going to take care of me, and then I go and make minimum wage. And so I was glad I actually talked to him about it, and we both were like, oh my God, like, this is just... And he was very frustrated with their marketing and things like that. And what they decided to do, they didn't want me doing the posting on social media anymore, even though what I posted actually brought in a lead and was working. They're like, oh no, like, we're gonna just keep doing this. Like, we just want to post white kitchens. Like, that's what people want to see. That's what people want. People want white or gray kitchens. Like, don't post anything cool or different, even though we're trying to market ourselves as someone who's different, cool, unique, creative, very, very uber luxurious. But we're not going to post that kind of stuff. We're only going to post basic things. So it doesn't really make sense. Like, I didn't quite understand it. But you know what? I'm not an owner of a company. So I'm not going to push the envelope, because I don't want to get fired. You know, it always goes back to that. You know, I can only do so much. So, and I'm not getting paid enough. I'm not getting paid enough to be trying to act like a CEO here. Nope. So I just let that be, and I just did my job, and no one was even there hardly, actually. So one of the co-owners, she was in school and she had a baby, and so she never showed up. She was never coming in. And the other two people that were there, my coworker and her husband, they were off like building the showroom sets and things like that. And so literally for like over a month, I worked there by myself every single day, and had to lock up, had to unlock, had to act like the manager and run the whole place and keep track of stuff. I could not believe that I was just left there alone. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I've never worked at a company like that, where you just slept to your own devices. And every now and then the owner would like pop in and things like that just to check on me, I think. And like, dude, I need a break and lunches. You know, why am I here by myself every single day? And when I told my coworker after the show, I was like, you know, I'm by myself. I never get lunches, breaks, nothing. Like, I'm here literally till open to close. I'm by myself. And he could not believe it. He was like, what? Like, I thought that the other co-owner was like coming in, and I'm like, no, I've literally not seen her. Like, maybe she popped in like once for like an hour or 30 minutes, you know? And he was just like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, like... And he was trying to convince this other lady to come on, and she was making crazy money at another construction company. Like, she was making, I don't know, $160,000 a year. It was crazy. And they weren't even paying her all of her commission payout, like all construction companies like to do. They like to keep a huge chunk of it and only give you certain percentage or whatever, like only give you whenever you ask for it. And you know, we already know the drill. And she still was making so much money. And so she was telling him, she's like, look, dude, I cannot pass up that money. Like, it's so good. I'm one of the only salespeople left there. It's where he used to work. And he was really heavily trying to convince her. And I just felt like bringing her aside and being like, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, we're not making money here. None of us are making money. It's completely dead. Nobody knows what they're doing, and nobody's implementing actual strategies and plans that are actually going to work. Like, they've paid for fake reviews. I'm getting shady vibes from the owner, you know, like, I've already had a tough time with this company. But I didn't, of course, because I couldn't. But man, I just wanted to warn her. I'm like, do not throw away that good, almost $200,000 a year job to come work here to make like $3,000 a month. No, don't do it. Don't do it. And yeah. So I was like, okay, something's gonna have to change. But I was willing to stick it out because I thought that if I stuck it out long enough, then they would see the value I was bringing, that maybe they could see that what I did actually worked, and maybe they would start implementing some of my ideas and strategies, and I could kind of like I could help grow the company, you know? Like I could be more of like a thought leader and things like that and implement these things. But what ended up happening was, after I negotiated my raise, I only had that raise for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or something like that. And the owner calls me and is like, hey, like, we are so dead and slow. Like, we are going to have to revoke the raise. Really? Like, I literally been patient with you, making no money with all my experience and skill set. When I finally get the nerve up to have this conversation with you and finally get to that point, then you're going to revoke it, like, for real. And then a week later after that, he calls me and is like, we are just dead and slow. And this is when the pandemic was starting in Washington. And he was like, okay, we're gonna have to lay you off, like pack your stuff, leave immediately. And so when I got off the phone with that, like, I'm like, okay, like I could, you know, it's already so dead. Like with the pandemic coming, we didn't really know how crazy the pandemic was, because this was like the beginning of March before it like got really crazy and like, you know, and the construction industry actually shut down for like a time. For a while, I don't know how long, maybe a month or two or something like that, but like the entire world shut down. And so he laid me off, and all my coworkers, especially the two owners, like they're all like, you know, acting all sad and all, ooh, bye bye, like, you know. And I packed my stuff up, and it just felt really weird, because it's like being laid off feels like being fired to me. Like, I don't, if people say it's different, it doesn't feel different. It feels the same. It feels the same. And so I wasn't sure what I was going to be doing. But I do know that that place, I don't think I was going to be getting anywhere with it. So I haven't talked to my coworkers or any of them. I haven't talked to them since I've left. But I do know that I think they're still struggling. They don't seem to be making any headway with jobs. It doesn't seem like it. And they still have fake reviews up. They even have one on their website that talks about me and how awesome I was. A fake review of like this and that, like how I'm so amazing, and like some customer came in and whatever. Like, it's just like cringe, gosh. But something very unfortunate ended up happening with me. And because right after I was laid off and the construction industry and everything shut down and I never heard back from them, they actually filed this year, a year later, they filed it and told unemployment that they actually didn't lay me off. They lied and told unemployment that they fired me due to insubordination, because insubordination is like one of the only things that, you know, for like, if you do things like that, you know, insubordination is something where it disqualifies you from receiving unemployment. And it just blew my mind that literally this company that had already like really treated me terribly and already had acted so illegally with how I first entered it, and was the pay and things like that. And I've tried to file reports on L&I against all of these companies that have been shady and owe me money and wage theft and have not given me lunches and breaks and things like that. I've tried to file these reports against them, and the L&I website does not work. So I'm not sure if I just need a call or something like that. I don't know how to get on my I don't know how to start that process. Like, we really need to crack down on this, because it's absolutely asinine. It's asinine that these companies get away with this and that they can treat employees like this. And literally, like in the middle of a pandemic, they can lie. They can say a year and a half later, they can lie and say that when they have no documentation of them like telling me that, oh, like you're being insubordinate. I was never insubordinate. Like, I literally ran the place like it was my own company, and I went in by myself and opened and closed it, and I did everything. I taught myself things. Like, I was working day and night. I was trying to come up with strategies for them with their marketing. Like, it's so unappreciated. No matter what you do in a company, it's so unappreciated, and every chance they get, they will stab you in the back. So I'm battling unemployment right now with that because they lied. So I had to literally like type out a letter and explain the situation and mail it, which costs like $8 for me to send it like certified mail that in. And I'm going through some other things, so it's with unemployment. So there's just something, I think I need to make a whole video on it. So this company just really showed me their true colors in the way that they were treating me. And then I could not believe the audacity that they were trying to come after me so they could lower their insurance policy because of the pandemic. They were trying to come after me. Literally, they took a $400,000 PPP loan. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Like, how can you take this $400,000 PPP loan and then go lie about laying someone off? I just knew they were bad news. I don't even know if I want to work for foreign companies now, because all these companies that I've had these really bad experiences with, nope, not all of them, I will say, half of them have been with foreign companies or foreign owned companies. And I don't like the mindset and the mentality. But you know what? I guess it's with anything. It's just, it doesn't matter. Like, these corporations, these companies, these businesses, like, there's no loyalty, there's no ethics. It all goes back to the bottom line. And if the bottom line, if it helps for them to stab you in the back or cheat and steal, like, then that's what they're going to do. It just is, unfortunately, like, the type of businesses that the U.S. is producing. I don't know why. I guess because it's so hard to live here and it's so expensive that they're just so desperate to do something. I'm just really frustrated and totally over the job industry here because I've just experienced so much of it that's just really bad. So that was my experience right before the pandemic as far as like jobs and the illegal treatment and mistreatment that I had received, and that was all of that. And I'm gonna tell the story next time. I'll just talk about my pandemic experience because I did have a few jobs through the pandemic, and those were also not good. And we will discuss that in the next video. But thanks for watching all the way through. I know my videos are very lengthy with these jobs because I have a lot to say and there's a lot to be unpacking with them. So don't forget to watch all my other videos, and I have my series of unfortunate jobs. I'll just link them down below so you can go watch all of them and kind of get a feel for what I've been experiencing in the job force. And I will see all of you in the next video.